device that estimates distances by counting steps taken. Your inner pedometer, a mind-body device that also estimates distances, but in addition, it serves as a metabolic cruise control and ultimately can evolve into a mantra for moving meditation. Ooh. Yeah. The year was 1989. I was employed as a juvenile probation officer at the Springmont Youth Camp working with troubled youth. Now, my specific duties included supervising trail building crews composed of these troubled teenagers that were participating in the Springmont Youth Camp forestry program itself. Now, 1989 was a particularly rigorous year for trail building. The camp was held responsible to rebuild the entire 13 to 15 mile Bonanza Peak Divide Trail. Now I say 13 to 15 miles because the original Bonanza Peak Divide Trail was constructed in the late 1930s by the Civilian Conservation Corps, and it had remained largely untouched since that time. So essentially there were vast sections of this trail that were demolished. So we would have to remeasure and recalibrate the entire trail as we built it. Now, knowing how far your trail crews traveled down the trail each day was of vital importance. You had to know how far the crew hiked out each day and how far they had to hike back in order to finish your work and trail building within the constraints of a regular workday. Also, by knowing how far your trail crews hiked down the trail, this allowed us staff members to develop challenging but therapeutic work schedules as opposed to rigorous punitive work schedules that would be unsustainable. Now, in 1989, there were no GPS devices. There were no Fitbits. Heck, there weren't even cell phones during that time. The only way you could accurately measure the trail was with a heavy metal calibrated mileage wheel. And it was too heavy and unwieldy to work with on a daily basis to keep track of how much trail you completed. So we needed a more portable and expeditious way to denote how far we hiked each day. So I knew from scientific literature that the average human being completes 2,000 steps per mile. So I started actively counting steps on trails with known distances, and I independently validated this 2,000-foot step per mile calibration. Now, and as a result, that was the birth of the Inner Pedometer. Now I began actively counting the steps that I took as we worked on the trails, but I found out that trying to keep account of such large figures like 2,000 steps often led to me losing track of what I was doing. So this led to the first refinement of the Inner Pedometer, the inclusion of rhythmic breathing patterns. Now, as an ex-track coach and lifelong runner, I knew from scientific literature and direct observation that linking footsteps and breathing in human locomotion leads to a more efficient use of oxygen. You're able to stay in the zone longer. Essentially, rhythmic breathing acts as a metabolic cruise control, keeping you in that sweet spot longer. My would-be runners and athletes a 2-2 breathing pattern. Now, essentially, what that makes, and this I know sounds complicated, but let's simplify it. Essentially, what that means is that you inhale for 2 steps and you exhale for the next 2 steps, making sure that you synchronize your inhale with that 2-step pattern and you synchronize the exhale with the next 2-step pattern. And it works like this. Inhale, Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Now, it takes 4 footsteps to complete 1, 2, 2 breathing cycles. And if you count the breathing patterns as opposed to the individual footsteps, then it takes 500 breathing patterns to complete a mile, instead of being accountable for 2,000 individual footsteps. Now this is a much easier figure to work with. There's 500 breathing patterns in a mile. There's 250 breathing patterns in a half mile, and 125 in a quarter mile. And this is how you kept track of and denoted breathing patterns. And it goes as follows, starting with the left foot. Left, right, left, 1, left, right, left, 2, left, right, left, 3, left, right, left, 4. Now, Jens, Renee, and Tom, you might have heard that method of counting before. And I have come to believe that the military was channeling the inner pedometer with its new recruits. Now, I taught this newly refined version of the inner pedometer to my fellow staff members and my youthful trail workers. And after using it for a while, they reported less fatigue. They reported less overuse injuries. They basically were happy with being in the moment. Now, as my youthful clients became more in tune with their inner pedometer, they quit asking the questions, how far, how long, how hard. As in yoga and martial arts, linking breathing patterns to stepping in the inner pedometer creates a connection between the mind, the body, and the spirit. The rhythmic breathing count essentially evolved into a metronome or a mantra for moving meditation. Now, the inner pedometer requires no batteries. You don't have to have a digital connection. You can't drop it in the toilet, and it's entirely free of charge. The inner pedometer marks mileage. It serves as a metabolic cruise control, and ultimately, it can serve as a mantra for moving meditation. Now, I've used the inner pedometer for so many years and for so long, it continues to run in me at all times. I wonder if it's still running in those scores of youthful teenage offenders that are now grown to men. The inner pedometer, you can always count on. Mr. Toastmasters.